Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another Wholehearted Conversation. My name is Jeremy Miller, and today I'm interviewing Mark Lundholm, who is a comedian, a thought leader at wholehearted.org, as well as a group facilitator. Mark, how you doing?
Wow, good now after hearing that. I'm Mark Lundholm, and I approve that message.
All right.
I appreciate that, yeah.
Yeah, and actually in that is one of my biggest questions, because I know for me, I'm really familiar with your comedy. I've watched a ton of your YouTube videos, and I was a bit surprised at the fact that you do groups in treatment centers. So I was wondering if you could kind of tell me a little about that. What does that look like?
Yeah, that's a tough template because there's no real evidence-based practice or historical kind of rear-view mirror citing of the comedian doing group. There's a Patch Adams kind of attitude, but it's not comedy in those settings. It's more tragedy and time, which Shakespeare said turns into comedy, right? But there's that other thing of humor is very, if it's managed or massaged well, it invites conversation. So I'm allowed to go into a prison, treatment center, county jail, women's shelter, under the guise of we have a comedian coming in to talk to you. And if it's a setting where it's not announced that it's going to be a group, clinical process, didactic, hey, we're going to talk about substance abuse, trauma, drama, mama issue going on, then I'll be funny and kind of invite them in and we'll reel them in. You know? Otherwise, I go in and I do group because I'm a group guy. I've been in hundreds of groups as a patient, as an inmate. So I go speak that language to them and they tend to respond. I'm not smart, right? I go in and I'm funny. And intelligence aside, I'm not a threat. You know, I'm Uncle Goofy. And they'll tell stuff to me they won't tell their parents or their priest, almost on accident. But and it's not tough to get me to talk. We just found that out with the first question.
Yeah, and so I'm curious, so when you go into a treatment center, say, do you go to rehabs?
Yes.
And so when you go into a group, what is your intention mostly focused on? Is it being funny, or is it providing some sort of relief to what they're experiencing in treatment? Or is it kind of both?
You know, it's almost like if we're dating, right? I'm already funny. Funny is one of the layers of Mark Lundholm. So that's not hard to, pull out of the holster in a rehab setting, in a group setting. The clinical, and I don't use that word about me in particular. I don't have any letters after my name. I'm not a licensed anything. I can drive in California. But that group thing, it's funny. It's going to be funny. And sometimes that settles, people. Sometimes it rises people up and you find out who's injured, who's fragile, who's third-degree burn victim, who's just got a, little baby bruise, right? Humor does that, invites truth and illuminates illness and all those things that humor does. The hard work is it's an individual process, one-on-one, with 40 of them. There's 88 keys on a piano. If I've got 60 patients, clients, inmates, whatever they are, they all deserve some attention. I got tick-tock, tick-tock, tick-tock. But so the balance is how funny and how fair and how real and how strong and how feral, how mild, right? So it is the focus though is healing. If I can say that, I'm not a nurse and I'm not a mental illness professional, or mental health professional. That was probably a Freudian slip there. I am a mental illness professional. Yeah. Normal people, they look at a book and like a yearbook, and they think, oh, I've got that. There's me. Oh, a couple more pages. I'm on 6 pages of this book. For me, that's the DSM-5.
There you go.
What I mean? So I'm like, I'm not writing ahead, but that's partly why I get to do my job.
Yeah, and so I'm curious with a group that big, and I would imagine now in the times that we're in, sometimes comedy can be a little more delicate than say 10 years ago. So when you're doing a group with that many people, how do you play to your audience and try in a way that is healing without running that risk of potentially shining a light on something deeper down?
Man, I wish I had time to answer that question. That's years of experience of, I'll try to keep this narrow. My ex-wife would tell me all the time, now remember what I asked you when you start talking. She's amazing. She's a goddess. She's been sober a long time, and we're still really good friends. She's one of the best friends I have.
Awesome.
And she would say, narrow. But comedy, humor is a relative term. It used to be that a comedian or a movie or a speaker, an orator, a teacher would tell you what the message is, what the comedy is. Now the audience gets to tell you what's funny. And it's just not true. I know what's funny. I am a licensed comedian. I mean, I've done this for 30 years now in places where normal people don't even want to go. Most of the audience doesn't want to be there in the places I go to. There's no victim here. But I'll tell you what, comedy isn't a relative term. Comedy is what it is that day. If 90% of the audience laughs, was it funny? Okay, you can't tell the other 10% it was, because they're not sure or they're convinced it ain't. So when I go into a group, I know I'm telling the truth. I know I'm trying to help people, and I know what I do works. I've been sober a long time. There's no a juice card. There's no certificate of graduation, right? Sober means I've got a manageable level of cuckoo. That's it. That's as far as I'll go, right? You talk to people like, I don't know, Brene Brown, it's about forgiveness. Gabor Mate, he wants to know why. TJ Woodward, expert, he'll tell you we're born perfect. They took the wings off and you decided not to put them back on, right? What I get to do is go in and say, hey, if it's funny, we can talk about it. If it's humorous, we can invite it in. If it's shameful, blamed, you're hurting about it, you got guilt you got strapped on you, you got nothing that's going to be funny yet. So the delicate part is we're talking about the walking or waking wounded in a treatment center. Comedy club, they paid to be funny.
Right.
They paid to be entertained. They paid to drink liquor while you distract them for an hour. You know? But some of those groups are very crispy. And I've had multiple threats on my life. I've had multiple pushback and stuff because we're wounded animals when we go to treatment and get care.
Right.
But it's funny to me. I hope this is funny to you and people paying attention that we're very selective about what's funny. We're talking about addicts, criminals, people who've stolen from their grandma upstairs. But they're going to be offended by a word I used or a sentence that I put in a frame. They're going to be offended by an idea. These are people who shot heroin into places on their body you can't see right now because they're covered up. For years, 40 years of abuse, chemical, substance, emotional, physical, sexual, verbal abuse. And we hurt their feelings with an opinion. So I won't say that to them because there's some people in that room, but I find that amazing.
Yeah, it's interesting. And one thing that you touched on earlier that I'm really curious about is your work in prisons. And also like correlating that to the work in treatment programs. I like to think that, very often when I was working in treatment, it was very serious. We had to be very serious. Oftentimes when people come to treatment, there is a lot of humor in the past. And I'm wondering what role the humor has in allowing that stuff to come to the surface.
I'm a firm believer. That's a great question. That's from a knowledgeable place. You just asked that from an insider's point of view. Cops talk cop language because they did cop things together. Right. Criminals do the same thing. Recovery people do the same thing. Drinkers do the same thing. So comedians have a language that's under the underground type of wording, language, right? We've all got references. When I go into a prison, the sentence has already been passed. In a treatment center, they're passing sentence on themselves. And so it's a serious enough thing, but look back in the rearview mirror of your existence, and if you survive some, it's like a roller coaster, right? You know that part where you click, 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 anticipation, and how high is it going to go? When's this going to, I'm looking for you start doing that, and I don't know, you wet your pants, you scream, you grab the person next to you. I used to elbow somebody, and just let it out, and you go, I survived, and you're shocked, and you check all your parts, you survive, and then you go again, right? That's dope for me. That's drinking. That's sex with a random stranger for me. That is some kind of criminal pursuit where I got away with something. Oh my God, you go from OF to fine. A lot of them have that story. If I make fun of me as a I don't know, an invitation, a yield sign. Hey, just hold on there. I'm gonna go first here, and I'll make fun of me and my family and the shame goes down. When the humor goes up, the shame goes down, the guilt goes down, the defenses go down, and all of a sudden the confidence or the participation goes up. I don't know how that works, but it's kind of like a teeter-totter, right?
Like it makes it safe almost.
Safe is the best word you could use there. Safe is a word. That's why I didn't use it, because I'm not a writer. But safe is primary in a treatment center. Safe is primary in a family where you got 4 kids and 1 mom. Safe is where a treatment center provides what we can't possibly provide for ourselves when we're using or thinking about quitting. You know, old joke in the show. There's 2 kinds of heroin addicts: those who are using, and those who lied about quitting today. See, normal people don't laugh right there.
Right.
You and I laugh. You're a counselor. You're a professional, mental health professional, right? Me, I got to work for people like you, right? We laugh at that stuff. Normal people go, "Oh, heroin.
Yeah.
That's bad, right?" Well, yeah. When you run out, it's pretty bad.
Yeah.
Until then, it's pretty good. That there's humor in that will allow the broken soccer mom, the firefighter who's a hero but not in his own home, the kid who's 19, he's a trust fund kid, and he's got the rest of his life to get better. That might be one weekend as far as opiates are concerned. But those people get a chance to say, "I'm safe," so I'll tease them a little bit, right? And how would you feel if you're watching this? How would you feel? You're brand new in a treatment center. And this guy comes in. He's not on staff. He's a temp at best. He's a part-time kind of, we heard he's a comedian. He was on Showtime or YouTube, whatever. I'm not hard to find on social media. So that guy's coming in to talk to you. And one of the first things he says is, "You know why this is the safest place you've lived in a couple of years? Because you ain't in charge of nothing." That makes it safe automatically.
Right.
Now, how they take that... That's my little thermometer check right there. Is their forehead sizzling when I do that? Because that person's going to be slow to laugh and grow, and I know that first gear.
Right.
Some people laugh right away. They're already in 3rd or 4th gear. So I can take them up without running that other person over. That's because I know what I'm doing now. But oh my God, in the beginning? I mean, when you were a counselor and you went in to do work with, let's say, a treatment center residents, is it okay if I ask you questions?
Yeah, of course.
Or is this
Please.
One-sided?
No, this is two-way, Mark.
Okay, my 5th thought is this. Yeah, when you went into a group and you'd worked with them like maybe once or twice, did you go in there kind of tiptoeing?
Oh,
Was
yeah.
there thin ice and you're not sure what size pistol you want to use and you go, "Hey, let's get to the point."
Yep.
That changed, right? Couldn't, after a while, you work in any treatment center that spoke whatever language, you speak 4 or 5 languages, you can work with 4 or 5 populations.
Yeah, for sure.
Didn't you walk in there knowing you're going to kick ass?
Yeah.
I do that.
Yeah.
I walk in, that room's going to change. I know it. I don't have to grab somebody by the throat. I can earlobe them. Hey, pay attention, to some Marine who left his feelings in a Foot Locker or boot camp, and now he's worried about SAD because he doesn't know how to trust SAD, and he's mad because he's afraid and doesn't know which one's which.
Right.
So I can always work with that guy. I can always work with the mom who says, I raised four kids. They're perfect. Oh, okay. You know what to do. You know which person or weapon to pull out of the holster for that person. I do too. It's very satisfying. But they don't know that I know that. So I make it look like we're ad-libbing. There's no formula, ever. There's an improv quality, right? Improv. You ever do any acting? Never?
No.
You ever been pulled over?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
Same question.
Yeah, there's some acting there.
Yeah, right, right. Yes, officer. How are you?
Yeah.
Yes. That's you've been on the force very long?
Yeah.
You very much look like you know what you're doing. That's a beautiful mustache. Women cops hate that. I don't know if you knew that or not. Here's the thing, right? That was just for us. But that's because you know what you're good at. You're a great interviewer. Somebody told me that. I had never met you till today. But somebody told me that you're really good at interviewing people. And this wholehearted.org kind of effort thing, it's all about people who are really good at what they do. We got a whole football team of let's say we're the 1983 Dallas Cowboys. Right?
Okay.
They were in charge of a whole bunch of fans and attention, and they won a lot, right? And they got to go out afterwards and party, date whoever they wanted, right? Anything goes, right? And because they know what they're doing. Well, it's exciting if you have a passion that becomes a profession. And then you get a paycheck, Dude, is it sweeter than that ever?
It's never sweeter than that.
No, and I mean Wholehearted, this is a .org, it's a nonprofit, right? I'm part of this because, and I'm not embarrassed to say this is a kind of a I don't know, symbiotic kind of thing here. I'm going to help you, you help me, we help them. But I can't tell you how nice it feels to be part of a group like, I just named off some of the people on the roster that help people. And I don't mind saying that what we do helps people. The people who get help say we're helping people. That's the thing.
Right.
You know, that's what feels really good. But I know that before I go in. And I speak about 90 languages, don't you?
Yeah, in the treatment game for sure.
Yeah, do you speak fierce?
Yeah.
Do you speak lie if you have to? How will I know? All right, go ahead.
Well, you said something that actually has got me pretty interested, and that's, you never have a template or a script when you go into a group. So walk me through what a group looks like.
Okay, I do have a content. There's a skeleton. It's like comedy set. I used to make a comedy. I still, when I'm doing a comedy show, I have a set list.
Like stand-up, you mean?
Yes.
Yeah.
Always got a set list. Bullet points, And I number them 1 through 10 or 1 through 9 or 1 through 15 or 1 through 24, right? Because those numbers will never change. 3 always follows 2 and precedes 4, always. So if I memorize it a little bit, knowing that road signs is number 5, right? And 6 is back of the hotel, right? There's a road set list. There's a... I don't know if I could say this in front of most audiences, but every comedian who's done work in the clubs or on the road has a get paid set, a get laid set, a get left alone set, a get corporate set. We do a set to get that next. Every comedian I've ever met has that. Ellen DeGeneres had one of those, I'm positive. Every comic has a, here's what I want out of this set. That's a skeleton. Now we flesh it in as we go because you work with what you got. It's clay. A treatment center, different kind of clay.
Right.
But I have a walk in and I want to be gentle and inviting. And I want to be funny and I want to be less of a threat. I want to be no expert. I want to be all unhealthy and make fun of at nobody's expense.
Right.
So those are the bones of the ribs. But I can pack that on any way I want with the meat.
Okay, gotcha. So,
and let's say I'm talking to a group of firefighters, right? A whole different language than a group of school teachers.
Yeah.
They both rescue people. They both educate and protect, but not the same language.
So would you tell the same jokes?
No, to the school teachers. Okay, let's say I haven't used the word school teacher yet.
Okay.
Because comedy is about surprise.
That's right.
If I could, I would never use the same word in a whole. I wouldn't use the word the twice if I could help it.
Right.
I wouldn't use the most used word in the English language is what? You know that one, right?
The?
I. Yeah, it's all.
That's not surprising.
Right, exactly. This country,
Yeah.
right? We make narcissists look like they're humble.
Right.
So, but I let's say this. Somebody asked me one time, "You're a road comic, don't you must smoke and drink a lot?" I don't do either one. I used to drink, and I never smoked. If I smoked, you know what I would smoke like? I would smoke like a kindergarten teacher on a smoke break. That's what I would do. I would curse like that lady, and that would get the teachers clapping.
Right.
The firefighters would yawn and think, "Oh, smoking is unhealthy." And I had this guy lost his brother on the 2nd floor. We found his body. That
Starts a lot of fires too, probably.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, it could probably.
Yeah.
But the firefighters, I would use a hero joke, or I would use a masculinity that isn't really there. I would say, a real firefighter, he's a hero. And I know from working with first responders that firefighters don't care if it's a he or she. They care if that person can carry me, because they all know that one. I don't know if you ever worked with them or not, but all they care about is, can the guy down the stairs or the lady upstairs carry me, right? Because the one they rescue, it's normally one of their own.
Right.
That's what they do. And God bless them. I don't have that kind of courage really to be a first responder. I'm a little squeamish. But the joke I would tell the firefighters is, you know what a really, really solid, balanced rock star man is? He watches MMA on Mondays with his boyfriend. That would get them laughing, or it would get them separated. But you know what I could do with that? I know who's whom in the room like that.
Yeah.
Who's the homophobe? Who's the one that's willing to laugh at anything? Who's the one that's evolved to the point where he goes, "Oh, this guy's not what I'm used to hearing," right? So I can do military. I can do adolescent. I've done thousands of shows.
So let me ask you this then. If when you're walking into a treatment center or a prison or any of the places that you facilitate groups, what's your goal? What are you trying to accomplish by the time your time's up?
Super good question. When I'm done, I want them to know that it's nobody's fault. There's nothing missing in them. And that if they tell 100% truth, they'll get 100% help. The help they get is equal to the truth they're willing to tell. And if they don't know 100% truth, ask.
Right.
What do you mean by that? Can you help me? I need Google. I don't understand. Those are all help me questions. A lot of us walk into a treatment center or a doctor's like, we're going to tell them how to help us. How many clients or inpatients or IOP, intensive outpatient, it just means part-time recovery, and then we go back to using. Sorry, that was for us, right? How many clients told you how to help them? Told you what?
Almost all of them.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
Right? And so I'm the client who drags myself in there at 122 pounds, right? I'm 29 years old, 122 pounds, and I can't stay off heroin. I'm going to tell you how to help me now.
Yep.
That doesn't make you giggle at all? I mean, it's the people out there, it's the insanity where I'm not making fun of the insane, I'm making fun of the insanity.
Right.
The thinking that says it's okay to keep doing what I'm doing, and now you're going to help me with it on my terms. Right? I'm lost, but I'm going to tell you how to point me in the right direction.
Yep.
It still today makes me giggle when I walk in there. I'll get some Joe Schmo. He's got, $50 million in the bank, and he's a CEO, and he's got, 4 homes and a country club membership, and he just got off a boat, right? The biggest boat in the harbor, right? He's the one that's parked on the end, right? That guy. And he gets to say to me, here's how it's going to go, fella. And I go, okay. All right. What do you, I don't even know why I'm here. How about if I take the rest of the day off, you have him send me a check, and you run stuff here.
Yeah.
But that's not how it works for healing. That's how it works for, getting sick.
So how do you, in your show, how do you create the healing?
I would invite them to look at something that doesn't feel comfortable. Comfortable kills alcoholics and addicts. I mean, you worked with enough, and anybody who's listening out there that is one or have worked with one, that our main thing is we're going to get what we want. Bag, bottle, behavior, some kind of broken dream, a promise I don't have to keep, a sentence that sounds good but isn't anywhere near 100% truth. That is what I'm used to. Bag, bottle, or behavior, one of the 3 B's we call it. At the end, I want them to know that there's nothing wrong with them. There's nothing missing in here. The universe didn't make any junk at all. And that there's a hope for them no matter what stage or age they're at. I've never met anybody who got to treatment for substance abuse or mental health or a trauma. Never met somebody who couldn't get it. Right. Never. I've met a ton of people who died because they didn't want to admit they needed it. It's crushing to watch somebody sit there with a whole bunch of people who want to get help and they're rallying around. We're laughing hard. Humor will do that. It'll put down the defenses. But hopefully with humor, Mary Poppins, like you're too young to remember that movie probably.
I remember Harry Poppins. Mary Poppins.
Harry Poppins was her uncle. Yeah, he was a creepy guy. Yeah. Harry Poppins. That's a whole different
movie.
I think you
sequel.
had to go to the Mitchell Brothers to see that movie right there. If you're not from the Bay Area, you have no idea what I'm talking about right now. We can cut this, right? We can cut that? All right. So, Harry Poppins. That's funnier than anything I was going to say.
I don't even know where that came from.
Harry Poppins. That was Mary as an old lady, right?
The pre-show is still rattling around, I think.
That's funny. You are good at your job, Harry Poppins. That's going to stay with me all day. Damn you, Jeremy.
I'll make shirts later.
Jeremy Poppins. How about that?
There we go.
So Mary Poppins, spoonful of sugar, right?
Yep.
Right? That's what comedy does. Spoonful of sugar. It's a tough pill to swallow. It's hard medicine to digest if it's all blame and shame and guilt and finger pointing and sack up and walk it off and you got to do this and you got amends to make and you got debts to pay. We all know that. That's why I kept drinking.
Right.
Right? I don't want to remember I know all that. So the humor would say, dude, I'm not going to make fun of you. I'll have fun with you. I'm not going to argue with you. I'll argue for you. But here's what we're going to do. And it's lighthearted. That my takeaway is that I want to make sure that they can do that too. One of the slides in the group thing I do is you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make them drink. Now, we all know that.
Right.
But I want to teach them how to have water with them as they go. I don't have to lead you. You don't have to remember to find the oasis was 2 days back. Just take it with you. Take something with. Take some hope. Take some grace. Take some forgiveness. Take some support. Take it with you. Have it in your pockets so that if you don't see some, you can be some. Because I can survive. The world is not a nice place right now.
Right.
It's a hard place. It's harder than it's ever been.
Yep.
If I was 15 right now, I wouldn't be 16 someday.
Yeah.
I'm that guy. I'm that guy. I was suicidal at 29, and I had it, better than some kids. And I'll tell you what, man, this stuff, it doesn't discriminate out there.
Right.
The world is very fair. It's just fair. You get what you signed up for, but a lot of times what you signed up for came with a price tag that somebody else signed up to take yours.
Yeah.
Man, how do you know? My head's on a swivel.
Yeah.
It's like jail again. I'm checking my 6, I'm walking here, and humor helps with that. It just does. And it doesn't need to be gas on a fire. If there's one question I would ask people watching is, why do you take it so personally? Unless it's about you. Seriously.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah. It's just a question too. I have no stake in this. If somebody doesn't like what we're doing, they've already shut us down. They can do that, right? That's all we got to do. But we give what you give energy to will continue. That's one of the shortcuts I have. I talk about shortcuts in life, a straighter route from here to hero. I don't want to wander off if I can help it when it comes to being a good dad. I don't want to be distracted by, look, and my son suffers. I'm a really good ex-husband. I'm nice to my ex-wife. She's a goddess. She's amazing. I want to be that guy who's trustworthy. Well, I can let life take me away from that. I can let anger and rage and somebody else's opinion take me away from that. But what I give energy to will continue. And I do not, I just, at 61 years old, I don't understand a lot of times. Or maybe I've forgotten how to understand and take that personally. But man, there's so much I don't have to put my teeth into and just, lockjaw like a pit bull and shake it to death. Because it's not about me. What word don't you like? Let's say that. What word don't you like? You ever get called names as a kid?
Yeah.
Were you a trauma kid at all?
A little bit.
My gut says 30%.
Yeah, about 30%.
Verbal?
Yeah, a lot of verbal.
Okay, so verbal, that's trauma. I don't want to discount that.
Yeah.
Verbal is, it used to be sticks and stones will break my bones, but words will never hurt me.
Yeah.
Words break bones.
They do.
Trust me, that was the precedent to getting hit with a chair, right? So what word didn't you like? They called you?
Yeah, I got a lot of nerd.
Okay,
Yep.
So Elon Musk was probably a nerd at one point.
Yes.
Make fun of him. See how much he takes that personally.
Right.
He won't even hear you. You know why? He's got money stuffed in his ears, right?
Yeah.
I don't know that nerd has that kind of power. It shouldn't. Loser or a wimp or, let's see, what did I get called as a kid?
Yeah, I got those.
Yeah, right. Whitey, I got called that. And I remember thinking, okay, like it confused me, confused me. The P word, once in a while on a football field or something. That might rattle me for a minute. But I had a guy in the neighborhood one time tell me, "You are what you answer to, boy." And I was about 5. You are what you answer to. Now, I don't remember that perfectly. Even now, somebody will say, "I don't think he's funny." They'll watch him. I don't think he's funny. And 1001, 1002, 1003, I can give it a few seconds because it's like, oh, wow. Somebody's questioning what I'm going to do. But after that, I got to be honest, I know better than they do. I've lived with me longer. I know me underneath me, right? And to be honest with you, as an abused kid, as a trauma kind of kid, as a dysfunctional family, I've already done worse up here without your help.
Right.
You know what I mean? But no, let's say somebody doesn't like what you did. Like you're not my favorite teacher, or man, you're a lousy parent, right? Do you want to take that personally, or do you want to look at what the truth in that is? The truth in that is, I know that I'm funny. I have that layer of me. I've been funny since I was a little kid. My whole family's funny. My brother David is the funniest human I've ever met, ever. And I've worked with Chris Farley. I've worked with Kevin James. I've worked with name it, Steve Harvey, Dale Hughley, Tim. I've worked with a lot of people. Right? David is the funny. He was Mo, Larry, and Curly all in one guy, with a little bit of Jonathan Winters and Jim Carrey.
Oh my God.
That's my brother David.
Wow.
He just couldn't stay sober and organize it to present it. He's hilarious, and I'm funny, but I'm not that funny. I'm more. I like to tell the truth in a way that won't hurt you, won't hurt me either. I mean, I want to protect me. I'm a little selfish when it comes to pain, but I don't want to do anything but highlight where the hurt is, so we can stop poking it. And let it heal. Like, were you ever a drinker?
Oh yeah.
Okay, so what was your favorite liquor?
Bourbon.
Bourbon. Okay, any particular label? Close your eyes, you see the label. What is it?
Johnny Walker.
Okay, Johnny Walker, not a bad choice, right? He's got a nice outfit.
Yeah.
Got a great hat.
Yeah.
There's a cane. Most people that drink Johnny Walker, they never even saw it. They just went right to the bottom.
I never
of the
knew
bottle.
he had a cane. So.
Have you ever seen the bottle? Yeah, the bottom. I saw the bottom of the bottle. Oh, he does. He has a cane.
Wow.
He's walking away. And it's a great liquor, right? Until it's not.
Yeah.
When was it not? Because that's the funny part to me,
Yeah.
and I'll tell you why. Go ahead.
Well, I was gonna say when I needed it in the morning.
Right.
Yeah.
When you need what put you out, just waylaid you. You're a sailor on leave, and you get what they used to call that a blackjack. Remember that? Oh, it's an old 1800s. It knocks you out. It's a blackjack. They call it.
Yeah.
They used to Shanghai guys that were on the dock or the wharves, put them on a ship. They'd wake up 2-3 days later. They're part of the crew. They're not getting paid, but try to get off the boat. Go ahead. We're in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean. You run, right? So, but that thing that blackjacks you, that Johnny Walker, right? The next day, you wake up and you think, oh my God, or your tongue is stapled not to the roof of your mouth, but to the top of your brain. It's all looped over already. You got a long tongue?
Not that long.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
So you do that, right? All that chemical, physical punishment and payment you had to make, and guess what you want right now?
More.
A little hair of the dog, they would say, right? So you go get. Doesn't that sound funny to you now that you're not doing it?
Yeah.
There's people watching right now that had a son or a daughter or a husband or a wife that it's not funny at all because they're still doing it.
Right.
That's the distance I see. That's the distance I want. And a lot of times, if you want to wait for the distance, the humor will show up.
Right.
But if you want to push something forward, push my pain, my trouble out there for people to see, you've already got distance.
Yeah.
We're dealing with it now. You're not dealing with it by yourself. We're dealing with it. It's all in the middle of the room. Let's throw this stuff in the middle of the room like a porta potty.
Right.
I'll go to Duffy's in Calistoga, California. I'll go to the guest house in Florida. I'll be at Burning Tree in Texas. Or you're from South Bay, right now? So I'll go over to the camp in Scotts Valley. Beautiful place, spiritually grounded, just a part of the earth that's just holy right now. And I've been going there a long time. And I'll know that when I walk into that setting, that, man, I'll tell you, let's just use it as a porta potty. And I'll call it, this is a porta potty. It's, $45,000 a month porta potty. And they'll laugh. I'll say, but it's kind of the same rules.
Yeah.
What I'm going to leave there is something I don't want to take with me. I don't check out everybody else's. I don't stay and watch who does what later. And I don't bring everybody's stuff out of there with me. I'm not going to wear yours on me as I leave. So let's just throw it in the middle. It's porta potty. Now, Duffy's or the camp, that's not their favorite slogan. They don't have it on their business card. We're the best porta potty in Scotts Valley.
Yeah.
We heal people, right?
Yeah.
But people heal themselves, don't you think? I mean, as long as you're in that business.
That's right.
Anybody ever say to you, "Dude, you saved my life"?
Yeah.
Yeah. Is that the truth?
I don't think so.
Me neither.
Yeah.
No, we helped them, right?
Save their own life.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's the humor is just a great hammer to do that. It'll knock down some walls. It'll drive a stake into the ground so it's foundation. I mean, what kind of hammer you got? You got a ball peen, you got a sledge, you got a claw hammer, you got a finish hammer. How many hammers you got? I got about 90 on my belt, but it didn't happen right away. I offended a lot of people early on. It gets easier to offend people now. Because I don't think that we're taught very well. I gotta be careful here because I don't know what they're teaching their own kids. I'm not in their house, but we're not taught very well that you are what you answer to, and if you don't like a word, don't own it.
Yeah.
Let's see. We talked about words you didn't like, right? And I was bullied as a kid too by people who raised me, really. And then I turned into a bully because I thought, well, that's what older people do to younger people, and I got 4 younger siblings, so why not? You know until you don't know.
Right.
And if I called you, let's see, if I called you a, let me think here. Ready? Here we go. You're mad at me and you call me, and be harsh. Be harsh. I know it's PG-13, but be harsh. Don't hold back, all right? I'm going to come back with something. I'm going to hurt you.
Okay.
You ready? Okay, bring it.
Idiot.
Chrysanthemum. Did I just stop the fight?
Yeah, that didn't hurt.
No, because people go, it's that, you don't remember record albums, do you?
Not really.
Needles on the...
Yeah.
You're so
They're
young.
slightly before my time.
You know what you
Only
have
slightly.
that I don't have anymore? Hope. Right. Yeah, you're young. So record album, right? We used to have record albums. There was a needle. And, Here's a joke right out of the show. Let's see. If you don't think this is funny, I can't do any better than this for just safe, right? You know, a lot of people think that video games cause kids to go shoot up school. They think, well, he saw it on TV, he saw it on a video game, he saw it on the Xbox. No. I grew up watching the Flintstones. I never put a bird beak on a record album, not once. Now, a lot of people wouldn't find that funny, or would they? I don't care. To me, it's hilarious because the thought that what they see makes them go do it right away. How far back you want to take that? What about the farmer's kid who saw two horses having sex for the very first time, and he's 11?
I don't think he did. I don't think he followed that visual.
No, do you think he found a horse on Friday night?
I don't think so.
I would hope not.
I hope not.
I'll tell you what happens, though. We get educated about what horses do to make little horses. If we got good cover, good parenting, good umbrella, and I don't mean an unhealthy umbrella, hover and cover way, helicopter dad. I mean comfort. I mean safe. If my parents had been informed, I would have been more informed. I'm more informed because you and I went to places where they said, all that stuff that you learned from your parents, let's put that over here on the shelf.
Yep.
We're not blaming anybody, but let's start fresh. What do you think? What do you think? Okay, geez. I wasn't asked that question until I was in my 20s.
Yeah.
I never got asked what do I think at my house. So I assumed that what I think wasn't as important as what they were saying. That includes loser. That includes Q-tip. That includes the hurtful things. You know, saltine. Saltine was supposed to be a slap in our house. Saltine was easy to break. You know? Soft as a saltine, my dad would say. And I'd think, oh, okay, all right. That's why mom cheats on you. Anyway, funny to me. The whole thing about humor is it's easier to fracture people now because we're so sensitive about, I take it personally. Well, the truth is a lot different sometimes. It's actually very narcissistic to take things personally that often. I mean, I'm not a psychologist. I don't know. You went to school for that, right?
No.
You didn't?
No.
You were a counselor because you are smart about recovery.
That's right.
Okay, all right. And when were you a KDAC guy?
Yep.
Okay, so you're licensed to help people with their mental health.
Yeah, certified.
Oh, certified.
Yeah, I don't want to get too crazy.
Like my mechanic down at the shop.
That's right.
All right, cool. All right. You ever work on a Jeep?
I have a Jeep.
I've
never worked on it.
You have a Jeep?
Though. Yeah.
I do too.
Nice.
What kind you got?
Cherokee.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So not a real Jeep.
The Saltine Jeep. Yeah.
See, you listen.
Yeah.
Good interviews. They always listen. Yeah. Probably to my detriment today. I wander way off track there. They'll cut all that stuff out, I hope. Didn't you find, though, that the connection here, the counselor, the counseling that I'm allowed to do sometimes because I'm not a counselor. Let's say we're parallel to each other. Didn't you use some humor in yours?
All the time.
Yeah. And didn't it make it spoonful of sugar?
Yeah, makes it safe.
It is way safer, and a lot of times it's sweeter. But I'll tell you the one thing that comedy does, humor does, when you're talking to people, it's more memorable. It attaches itself. Humor attaches itself to a truth that makes it easier to grab off some shelf or out of a box. That I can't even explain. I don't know. The water's wet, sun's hot, and humor has a way of attaching itself to a truth, like shame will. Shame will make it a trigger or a memory. We use a memory in group instead of trigger because trigger is attached to a weapon and memory is attached to a truth. And if I can remember the truth, even if it was, oh man, horrible, and now I'm stuck in that place 40 years ago, now I can get out of that place because there's no weapon. There's no weapon. But the laugh is, what's your favorite TV ad, YouTube ad? What's your favorite ad right now of all? Maybe of all time, ever. Favorite?
Ironically, I love the Budweiser ads.
Okay, which, like?
The one where they're driving the truck and a bunch of the girls are on the side of the road and they tell him to pull over to give the girls some free beer, and it was a simulator and he failed the test.
Funny.
Yeah.
Funny.
It's
so
funny.
There's humor there.
Yeah, it's cheeky.
I remember all the way back to Gulf gas stations. Gulf.
Never heard of it.
I know because I'm old. And they took that stop photography where you take a picture, take the next picture, the person moves, you take a picture. They had a picture of people driving on their rear ends, just their bodies sitting, legs out like this, and they were driving. And they would have them pull into a Gulf station. These were human beings. I was probably 3 years old. I can still see it right now. You can Google that. Gulf 1960s ad, commercial, whatever. Astounding, because it made me laugh at 3 years old. I remember seeing people on their bottoms just staying in one place, driving all street up a hill, down it, And I think that I could think of that right now today, 58 years later. Humor does that. It's not golf. I remember golf because I laughed.
Right.
Sometimes we can heal, that healing you were talking about. We can heal because we laughed.
Right.
If we can laugh about it, we can talk about it. That's my part of wholehearted.org. If we can laugh about it, we can talk about it. And if we can talk about it, we don't have to just be married to what we think about it or what we blame ourselves for, or the memory of coulda, woulda, shoulda, all that mind torture we do when we're up in our head listening to the one who did it. That's not the guy I want to hear in the morning when I wake up.
Right.
I want to hear you and I talking on some internet show, or I want to hear a podcast I really like, or I want to hear my son coming down the hall. Hey, Dad, waffles? Right? Humor's allowed me to walk away from a street life, a jail life, a chemical life that was horrible. I got sober at 29 years old, and I only survived my 30s, 40s, 50s because I was sober.
Right.
I know there's some help we can give some people out there. I've got a YouTube show, the Mark Lundholm Show.
Well, and I'm curious too, as we wrap up, I'm wondering, I heard you were writing a book.
Thanks for saying that, because I didn't think about that. One time during this whole thing, I've been asked to write a book more times than I can count. I've been telling people I'm working on a book for probably 25 years. At some point, that was always true. Are you working on a book? Yes, I am. And I've had pages of stuff. In 2020, the book comes out.
Okay. And
it's called Shortcuts, Better Ways to Better Days. And it is a tongue-in-cheek. The little joke is, this is stories about a particular person that have a particular direction toward, I don't want you to wait to go through that story to get this information. Shortcuts, like if you got to keep it a secret, don't do it. Shortcuts like the argument I win is the one I don't enter. Shortcuts like grateful never fails, never relapses, never harms. Grateful is the gift, right? There's all kinds of shortcuts in the book, but there's all kinds of stories. They're all true. Every one of them has some funny in it. I mean, that's kind of my quill. Yeah, it's funny. But thanks for asking about the book.
Yeah, I'm excited for it.
Me too. I'm excited, and I don't mean to rush, but I'm excited to get it done.
Yeah.
Because if we say we're going to do something, don't do it.
Right.
Or we're supposed to do it and we don't.
Right.
I mean, how bad does that hammer hit you?
Bad.
Man, I will think about that more than some kind of fantasy I have. Joke in the show right now. I used to fantasize about two women. You know what I'm talking about? Two women. I still do at 61. I fantasize about two women. But now we're all on the porch. One of them's rubbing my feet. The other one's making me soup.
So I hear you're doing a show.
It is the Mark Lundholm Show. Very intricate, impactful, I don't know, name. But it's on YouTube for free. It's also on wholehearted.org.
Perfect.
It's actually their show. They know who they are. It's everybody's show. It's not recovery specific. And we've talked to pro athletes and mental health professionals and single moms and a lady who's trying to get pregnant, who's married, in vitro, a whole bunch of stuff. It's really cool. And
you're interviewing these people?
I am. Yeah, I'm doing your job
nice.
With them. And I hope that I sound as good as you do when I'm doing what we're doing, because I love doing the show. We got movie clips in there. We give stuff away. It's really fun. It's been fun to do.
That's awesome.
We debut this year.
Cool.
Yeah, thanks for asking about that, dude. That was important to me.
Yeah, that sounds great.
Yeah, I'm really happy about it.
Thank you so much for joining us for another Wholehearted Conversation. For more information on Mark, you can find him at marklundholm.com. I'm Jeremy Miller, and you can find both of us at wholehearted.org as well as on YouTube. All right, Mike.
So you're going to reintroduce Mark. You're going to reintroduce yourself.